The 2022 FIFA World Cup is here at last, and football fans around the world are understandably excited about the mega event returning after the last one was such a massive success 4 years ago. However, this time around there's been a lot of off-field controversies dominating the build-up to the World Cup, and it has become more and more unavoidable as time passed, not just due to many more events and new events coming to light, but also due to the growing chorus of opposition that has been in place for, of course, the World Cup being hosted in Qatar. Whether it be alleged corruption in the voting and bidding process, or the fact that Qatar's human rights record is abysmal to say the least. There have been issues not just in terms of the deaths of migrant workers brought in to build the stadiums where the World Cup matches will take place, but also in general the country's human rights record, whether it be against political dissidents or members of the LGBTQIA+ community, is hardly ideal. And it has led to many calls for the World Cup this time around being either boycotted or actually shunned and not being given the kind of press that the Qatar government would no doubt want it to get. Interestingly, this World Cup, which is being termed as the sportswashing World Cup, it's not the first time of a FIFA World Cup being marred in such political controversy before it even gets underway. Here we are going to look at 3 previous instances where FIFA, sportswashing and pretty dodgy politics actually gets involved and creates a mess that could not actually have been avoided, despite the fact that the level of football being played was as good as ever. The first instance of a controversial FIFA World Cup came all the way back in 1934, which is when the second edition of the tournament was held. Italy won the bid to host the second tournament, but there was just one small problem. The country was deeply embedded in fascist rule at that time, with Benito Mussolini at the height of his powers. The dictator saw holding the tournament in Italy as a way to promote fascism around the world, and there have been many allegations of corruption as well as meddling in the tournament by the Italian government that have come out over the years, and it was done so in order to ensure a victory for the home team. Italy would indeed go on to win the trophy for the first time, but the victory of a truly great football team of that generation was overshadowed by controversies that had absolutely nothing to do with football. The second time a FIFA World Cup was held under such similarly controversial circumstances came in 1978, when Argentina were awarded the hosting rights for the tournament. At the time, the country was being ruled by a brutal military dictatorship that were also looking to use the event as a way to not only spread their nationalist propaganda, but also to legitimize their rule in the eyes of the world. Once again, there were allegations of corruption as well as covert match fixing, as the military rulers looked to ease Argentina's path to their maiden World Cup victory. This extended all the way to the final, as the Netherlands, who lost the game against Argentina 3-1 in extra time, boycotted the post-match ceremony in protest of Argentina's stalling tactics that took place before the game, with the Dutch players citing unfair play. Argentina may have won their first ever World Cup, but the victory was unfortunately once again marred by off-field politics. And the most recent instance of a World Cup being marred by such similar controversies came all the way back in 2018, when Russia had been named the tournament host. The decision to name Russia as host was criticized around the world for a multitude of reasons, from racism that was very prevalent and still is prevalent in Russian football, to discrimination against the LGBTQIA+ community that exists in the country, as well as Russia's involvement in the annexation of Crimea, an event that would eventually lead to the current ongoing Russia-Ukraine war. Again, there were allegations of corruption in the vote that was used to award Russia the hosting rights for the tournament, and despite many calls for the tournament to be boycotted or have Russia's hosting rights stripped away from them, it went ahead as planned. The 2018 World Cup saw a lot of memorable on-field moments, but it was once again hard to ignore the problems with the tournament being held in Russia to begin with. It's a sad reality and a sad indictment of FIFA as a whole that one World Cup that was marred by off-field controversies and sportswashing allegations is in fact being followed by another World Cup that is once again being marred by off-field controversies as well as massive sportswashing allegations. The decision to host the World Cup in Qatar will be something that FIFA will continue to be criticized for many years to come, despite their claims that it was done to further popularize the sport around the world and to give nations in other continents actually the right to host the tournament. Despite the fact that their intentions in that sense might have been correct, it's hard to ignore the fact that the World Cup could have been awarded to many other Asian nations, ones that wouldn't come with the kind of baggage associated with the Kingdom of Qatar. Thank you all once again for joining us for this particular video. Again, if you're new to this channel and you haven't yet subscribed, please hit that subscribe button and tap the bell icon so that you get all of the latest updates and new videos from us over here at Sports Today. And don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and leave us a comment if you haven't already. Then you can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Thank you all once again for joining us. As always, I've been Shane Dias, and I hope to see you with us through this entire World Cup and hopefully even beyond that.